Do you ever wonder what lingers below? Not hell, just like in the sewers. If there's something down there, you hope it's something good, right? We up sewers aren't full of cannibalistic humanoid underground sewer dwellers, right? Wrong.
You didn't say anything. Okay. So today, it's very similar to our Toxic Avenger drink, but better because it's a better movie. So it's a half ounce of your choice of tequila, right? A ounce of. I end up using two different orange liqueurs. One was a Mexican brand, and the other one was Italian brand. You can do what you wish. And then half ounce each of those, half ounce of lemon juice, and then you top with your choice of sparkling water. It's a very do what you like kind of drink.
I love drinking at 9 a.m. It's great. Awesome.
Genius.
C.H.U.D. Released by RLJE Films, formerly known as Image Entertainment in 1984. C.H.U.D. is a science fiction horror film directed by Douglas Creek, written by Parnell Hall, Shepard Abbott, and Christopher Curry. Stars John Heer, or her, I don't really know, Daniel Stern, Christopher Curry, and other people also. The movie had a budget of $1,250,000 because that's somehow low budget, and made $1,762,922. God damn it, $1,762,922 on its opening weekend. C.H.U.D. only has one sequel, but it has cameoed in various pop culture outlets like The Simpsons, The CW's Flash, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Clerks 2, Castle, Archer, Futurama, Pushing Daisies, Outer Banks, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Rick and Morty. The score by Martin Cooper was listed at number 33 on Rolling Stone's 35 greatest horror soundtracks, so just barely made the cut. There is a tribute anthology horror book called C.H.U.D. Lives, a tribute anthology.
What the fuck?
Yeah. In 2007, there was a rumor that Rob Zombie was going to remake this movie, and
Monsters.
thank fucking Christ that didn't happen. He ruins movies. He's terrible.
Have you seen The Munsters?
No, I saw the trailer, and me and Corey were both like, that looks horrible.
I was actually kind of excited about it. And then I saw the trailer, and I was like, I don't know that I'm excited about it anymore.
No.
And I still haven't gotten around to watch it. I still want to, just because, but like...
Rob Zombie, like, his music is fine, whatever, but I hate his movies. Every movie of his is just, look at this white trash family.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like his music, but...
Yeah, but his movies are shit. Awful.
I don't know about that.
I
for
do know
particular
about that.
taste.
There is a character in one of the greatest video games of all time, Tony Hawk's Underground, called Thud, which is a tribute to C.H.U.D.
That's funny.
I just thought it was like the creature from the Black Lagoon when I was younger, but turns out it's C.H.U.D. And then also in the movie Us, you can see a VHS copy of C.H.U.D. And that's the
funny.
most interesting information I could find on Wikipedia. I don't usually do all my research on Wikipedia, but I waited till last second, so bad choice.
It's a good starter.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going in depth. We're mostly talking about the film itself.
Yeah, which, speaking of that, it'll be interesting because I didn't take notes this time.
But you also did just watch it.
That too, but I have horrible memory.
So I haven't watched. I have plentiful notes, but I also haven't watched this in like 2 weeks. So very opposite ends of the spectrum here.
And now it is time for the meat.
Okay. So movie starts out, right? We get an empty city street at night. This is in New York. you get like a lady and her dog. This is all during the opening credits, right? Lady and her dog coming down the street, and then you see the sewer grate moving, right? Like, and you see the hand like kind of lifted up, and there's a thing in there, and then like as they go by, it like grabs her ankle, it like drags her in, right? And the dog comes too, and I think the only thing left is there wasn't like one of her shoes left.
Yeah, her shoes left because then
Yeah.
you see the street sweeper for like a really long time, and then it sweeps up her shoe.
Yeah, there's like which I don't know that I've ever seen one of those like outside of a cartoon before.
What, a street sweeper?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we don't live in New York City, so
that is true. That is true.
Live in a very not downtown area.
Yeah. So, yeah. So like my first thought, I was like, this is like evil Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But so
I don't know. The further the movie went, the more I thought like this is like an episode of Goosebumps, but good and for adults.
Yeah. I was going in. I didn't know a whole lot about it, and so I wasn't sure if I was in for a somewhat more serious ride or if it was going to be more Toxic Avenger. And I was surprised that it was actually pretty good. It was enjoyable. It wasn't, just...
Yeah, I enjoyed the whole thing.
Not just, like, slocky, random shit like Toxic is. Granted, sometimes there's a time and a place for that. I like Toxic to a degree. But this is a better movie.
And just to be clear, I don't tolerate Goosebumps slander. I love Goosebumps, but it's not good. It's really cheesy and bad.
No, yeah.
But I love it.
Goosebumps is great, but it is also cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
It also, it's weird rewatching stuff when you're older too, because like
the stuff that you're like, this was fucking terrifying when I was a kid.
Right,
you watch it now and you're like, oh my god,
this is so bad. But anyway, so and there's like a whole bunch of people. The time passes. It's the morning now. There's a bunch of what are presumably homeless people, just kind of on the street and
that have an absurd amount of makeup dirt on their face.
Oh yeah,
like I know that when you're homeless, you don't have a lot of options for bathing, and we see homeless people where we are a lot, but they're not like. That level of dirt on their face in the movie is absurd.
It's like borderline brown face.
Pretty much, yeah. So that's unrealistic, but you can look past it because the movie actually is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. But, so, there's a guy looking through a camera at all of the people on the ground, which, that's kind of creepy that he's like, because he's up in his apartment and he's looking like down at them with his camera and stuff. And then he gets a voicemail, and you gather that the guy leaving the voicemail, Derek, is a reporter of some sort. That what's his name? George.
I don't remember any of their names.
Yeah,
except nope. I thought I remembered the police chief. Don't remember his name either.
Yeah. So George is the name of the photographer, right? And then Derek is his like reporter, I guess, that he sometimes does photos for, and Derek's trying to get him to take photos, presumably of the homeless people, and he's like, nah, I don't, he just kind of ignores it. Then you meet Lauren, and the two actors actually have nice chemistry together. I thought they seem believable as like a couple.
Yeah, better than the couple from Demonic Toys.
Oh yeah, that. But so Lauren goes to the basement to get a jewelry box. There's like growling underneath the floor grate, and yeah, then we go to the police station, and at first I thought the police captain was kind of a dick, because like the one cop comes up to him and he's like, hey man, we got all these disappearances. And he's just like, so just add another one on the pile. Blah, blah,
Turns out he was secretly the best character all along.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get to. Like, at first he seems like he sucks, because I'm like, he's telling him to ignore it, but like not too long later, it's not like immediate, but not too long later, you're like, oh, he's like the only like upper level cop that actually cares about these disappearances.
And he's got good mustache game.
That is true. He has a fabulous mustache. So this movie does a really good job, I think, of kind of creating a small amount of like tension and a little bit of dread, because it does all these like little things throughout like the first little while in terms of the plot of the people, right? There's not a whole lot going on. Like, you gather that like George is supposed to take photographs and he's not, and the captain is like the upper level of police officers are like keeping something hidden, and the captain wants to like figure out like what it is, but he also has to maintain, you know, to the people below him the idea that he is also indifferent, like his superior officers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're also getting all these little things of like like the hand at the beginning coming out of the sewer grate, and then there's like a one point where like a homeless lady like walks up to like just like a bunch of boxes on the sidewalk.
Oh yeah, and something
because
explodes out of them.
There's like growling, and then something explodes out of it, and she's like, and then she like walks too close, because why the fuck would you walk up to that? And it like drags her down into the sewer too.
Also, side note, South Park also referenced C.H.U.D, but not really. There's an episode where someone duked in the urinal, and Mr. Mack, he describes it as a big, fat, meaty C.H.U.D or something like that. So I was thinking about that the entire movie.
That's so fair. Where are we? So yeah, it's clear that the cops are covering up something, because the captain like calls like the police commissioner, and he's like, dude, all of this stuff is going on. And he's like, we still can't do anything about it. Don't say shit to no one. And then, oh yeah, George and Lauren go to shoot a perfume commercial, and he gets like weirdly, she's like acting like she's the model for the perfume commercial, and so she convinced the people that hired her to have him as their photographer, and he's like weirdly upset about like this, like about shooting this perfume commercial. He's like being like really like,
can't believe you got me good paying work, you bitch.
Yeah, he's like really like laying into the people who set this up. Like, it felt very anti-capitalist in a sense, without being explicitly anti-capitalist. Like the kinds of things he was. I don't remember exactly what he said. It's been 2 weeks. I just remember like it felt like there's like a weird anti-capitalist message under what he's whining about.
Yeah, I think secretly he just doesn't want him to be he doesn't want him to be seeing his lady.
It could be
exposed.
Could be.
Although there is no nudity in this movie.
No, she's all very covered up. But where was I?
At the perfume shoot that you said was anti-capitalist.
So there's the cops arrest a homeless lady because she stole a gun from another cop, and then the captain comes in and is like, give her a phone call. And there's this one cop that
like,
he
really doesn't want to give her a phone call.
He's a fucking dick. Every time he shows up in the movie, he's like a fucking asshole. It's like, why are you even a cop?
Well, that's kind of how it really is there's some cops who shouldn't be cops, and then there's some who are really good, like morally great people, and then there's just, they have to make up for the ones that are shit, like this guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like, dude, just chill out. But anyway, so the captain's like, give her a phone call. She's entitled to a phone call, and she ends up calling George, the photographer. And then, so as the audience, you're like, wait, how are these two people connected? And then...
I still don't know how they're connected. I've seen the whole movie. I still don't know why.
Oh, I'll get to it. I remember. I'll get to it when it comes up, though. But anyway, so we're going to maintain the mystery for now. Although, if you haven't... One, why are you watching this podcast
it's
anyways?
1984 movie.
If
well, I get it.
If you haven't watched it, why...
I get it. Sometimes I'll listen to podcasts that are about movies I haven't seen, because
I'll
listen to it and then I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I'll watch that.
I'll do that too, but we're weird.
Yeah, and then I'll watch, and then I'll when I see it, I'll be like, oh, they fucking said that in the podcast. They said it.
Oh, they talked about
I
that.
remember that.
I remember that scene. But anyway, so the one guy that's one of the criminals from Home Alone is super young in this. Playing he was a criminal that has now turned reverend for like some of the homeless people, particularly ones that live underground in like the sewers and the subways and stuff. Which you kind of gather throughout the first part of the movie that there's been lots of disappearances of people of various classes, but it's been mostly these homeless people because they're the most susceptible.
Some of them live underground already.
Guy from Home Alone, the taller one, right? Super young here. He is a reverend for the homeless people, right? And he, called the cops because of some of his, people going missing, right? And so we open in on him.
In the soup kitchen.
Yeah, he's in the soup kitchen. I think. Oh yeah, he's dishing out food. The captain shows up, starts talking to him because he's arrested him before whenever this guy was still a criminal, but after he got out of prison is whenever he became a reverend for the homeless people, I guess.
Yeah, and I get that dynamic, why he would be like, he would not like police, but at the same time, he did call the police, and then he's like immediately upset. Yeah, so, but whatever.
It could be just because it was that specific guy, maybe.
Yeah, it turns out that was the best guy to fucking shown up.
Fucking only guy that cares. The Reverend, I can't remember the character's name. I just refer to him as the Reverend in most of my notes. The Reverend takes the captain of this one dude who is like a
clearly insane.
He's like cartoonishly batshit. And he's like quoting the Bible, and while he's like trying to describe like the stuff they've seen underground and stuff, he's like shaking, and I think he's got like a knife.
Yeah, he just pulls out a knife and stabs it on the table.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
A lot of patience from that cop to not like arrest him for pulling out a knife on him.
Right, that's what I thought. There were so many times in that scene where I was like, this cop is gonna like arrest these people, and I was like, oh no.
There's another scene later on where the Reverend like breaks into an apartment, and the cop's like, oh, you're under arrest, but he didn't arrest him.
He didn't.
We'll get to that, but I just.
Anyway, so it cuts at the beginning, kind of cuts back and forth like a professional movie, so the captain's having a cop follow like whoever comes and gets the homeless lady because they think they're trying to figure out like why she took the cop's gun because she won't say. And so this guy when George comes, the photographer comes and gets her, and they leave, and this cop's following her, and there's this other reporter guy who kind of seems like a cunt. I can't think of his name, but he is like trying to talk to the cop outside, and the cop kind of blows him off because he's trying to follow these people, but he's trying to not let on that he's got to follow these people.
Yeah, I don't know about in real life, but in movies, cops fucking hate journalists.
Oh yeah, like
they really hate them.
Not big fans. So George follows the homeless lady. Sometimes she's called the bag lady. Eventually, you find out her name's Mrs. M. So he follows Mrs. M into the which stands for Mrs. Monroe. Again, you also find out later. You don't find like first it's the bag lady, right? Then you hear Mrs. M after like 5 to 10 minutes, and then 5 to 10 minutes you finally learn that the M stands for Monroe. Like it's a very long amount of time for you to figure out what this fucking lady's name is. It's like you couldn't just tell us at the beginning.
I still didn't know. So
that's entirely valid. So he follows Mrs. M into the sewer, and the cop they go into the subway in order to get to like the sewers and stuff because it's all connected. And like the cop like gets to like the stairs down like past like the platform, but he's like, nope, just gonna tell him that I lost him, not going down there.
Understandable.
Yeah. So you find out that she tried to steal the cop's gun for another homeless guy that's hurt. His name's Victor, which again, like 20 to 30 minutes at least before you find out that Victor is actually her brother.
And by hurt, you mean his leg's about to fucking fall off.
Oh, yeah. His shit is fucked. Like,
he's missing half of his thigh.
Even if he survived, right?
He's gonna go
And,
without
like,
a leg.
he's gonna fucking fucking
Like, he
they're
can't
gonna get affected.
He can't get
anything.
stitches or anything. They gotta
It's
cut it
fucked.
off.
It's fucked. So he follows them into the thing. You see that he's hurt, and he says that he needs the gun to go kill those ugly fuckers, which you later find out that's more of the foreshadowing and build up for the C.H.U.D. And so you kind of start to get the idea around now that the reason he doesn't. Okay, it takes like the whole movie to figure this out because you really only pick it up from background clues. So in a sense, this movie tends to have fairly realistic conversations between characters, right? And in terms of like the information that gets revealed in any given conversation, it doesn't feel like exposition.
They're not like,
right.
Hello, Marvin.
Right.
Your name is Marvin, right?
My name is Gary.
Have you heard about the monsters, Marvin?
Yeah, it's like no. They're structured like actual conversations. And that in that sense, it's very good. But that does lead to some of the background kind of context details. It takes you an hour to figure them out because you got to figure them out from like 3 different like little phrases and sentences throughout the fucking movie. So like with the Mrs. like just with their name, it takes like 3 or 4 scenes for you to go from Bag Lady, Mrs. M, Mrs. Monroe.
Or
right.
You watch this podcast and then you don't have to figure it out.
True.
Or listen to the podcast.
Or you can look at a cast list.
Or you can listen to this podcast. All right. Continue.
Anyways, so, what was I? Oh, I nearly didn't get to it. So you gather across several things that the reason that George doesn't want to do the photos that like Derek is begging him to take is because he had done a story on these like the homeless people that live underground before, right? Where like he took up like that's how he met these people. He took a bunch of photos, right? They published an article about it, and they're trying to do it. Derek wants to do it again to like because it was like a big success, right? And so you get the sense that George doesn't want to take the photos that Derek is begging for because he doesn't like want to exploit these people any more than they already have. So cop talks to Reverend Guy again to identify the undergrounders from the article that George and Derek worked on. And you find out that the captain's wife is one of the missing people, and you gather very quickly that it was the lady at the beginning because he mentions she was going to walk their dog. So that was the captain's wife at the beginning that you see get fucking sucked in the ground. And the dog. And
hence why he's so invested in these cases and no one else is.
Yeah. I've also got a note here that says, is he rolling a joint right in front of the cop, or is that just a cigarette? I don't remember exactly what this scene is. I think it's between the Reverend and the captain. I think it's the Reverend like rolling something, but I can't remember for sure.
I don't remember that, but I had to have watched this while I was doing dishes, so I may have missed it.
No, that's so fair. So someone rolls a joint in front of a cop. Or potentially a cigarette. I don't know.
It was the 80s. Who knows? Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. It was also New York. They got like so much trash on the street. So you find out that EPA people. Oh yeah. So the Reverend takes him down into like a little area nearby to where his little congregation is that to go down to the underground part. And you find out that EPA people are routinely checking underground for some reason. And this particular time, it's lasted 4 times longer than normal. It's been like a month that they've been there. Which just seems weird. But anyway, so apparently the EPA claims that they're gone, but he thinks that they're not. And so the Reverend takes the captain and shows him some stuff he found. Like he found like part of like a radiation suit and some other things. And then while they're down there, they actually they find a Geiger counter, and when they turn it on, it starts like beeping low, and then it like builds up as something is presumably getting closer, and then it goes back to low and turns off, and they're like, well, that was fucking weird.
Yeah, so they should really be wearing some radiation suits or masks at least or something.
And then you hear like one of the C.H.U.D like roar right after, because they're like just like
one of the C.H.U.D.
They're like just kind of looking around, and they're like, and then there's like, and you're like, whoa. Anyway,
excuse me.
Where was I? Oh yeah. So Lauren tells George that she's pregnant. Big jump from the last scene we just saw. Right?
And he is mildly enthusiastic about it.
He seems very unconcerned. And like when she asks him, like what to do, he's like, your body, your choice. So good on him. Right?
He's got the attitude of like, I'm pregnant. He's like, right on.
Right
all
on.
right, yeah.
You want to keep it? Keep it. If you don't, okay.
But they don't use the word.
No,
they say there's other options.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna drink the rest of that. It's good. It's just I forgot. I'm taking antibiotics right now, so I shouldn't be drinking that.
That's probably smart.
Yeah.
So, where was I? You see a man and his daughter go into a phone booth outside. This is like night again. Something lifts the sewer grate, and then like you see the same clawed hands as before, and like you see a thing, like a monster, like rip the dad out of the phone booth.
Grandfather.
I'll trust you on that. I don't remember.
It was. I'm really glad I didn't have to see any child murder.
Yeah. So it cuts to her looking like she doesn't look like after the grandfather gets fucked.
She's just like whatever.
She looks unconcerned.
She's like, it happens. It's cool.
Just like, well, that was weird. You know, like just doesn't care. Which like she's a kid actor, so like it's you're not gonna get every face.
A real
perfect.
kid would be like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. So,
kids curse now. It's cool.
So the captain hears the little girl story, and like all the cops are like, haha, bullshit. But the captain's like, all right, enough of this. So he tells a lady, like the receptionist lady, I guess, to like call to chief of police, and he starts posting cops on street corners. And then he calls somebody and like tells the police commissioner and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to meet, or he'll expose the what was it called? I just got okay. So yeah, captain tells the commissioner and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, or NRC, to meet, or he'll expose the NRC for apparently being underground longer than they claim to be. And then he grabs the Reverend and they go to get George, but George isn't at his apartment for some reason. I don't remember why. Oh, I think is he back underground again? Where
Maybe. I don't really remember, honestly.
I don't remember where he went that he wasn't at the apartment.
Wasn't he? I think he was out with his wife, right? They went on like the picnic or whatever.
Oh, that may be it.
Because they're about to get confronted by the reporter.
Yeah. Is that here soon?
I think so. I could be wrong.
We'll find out.
I think so.
We'll find out. So they pick the lock because he's not there, and that's the part that
police is like,
Caleb was talking about.
I'm gonna arrest you.
You're under arrest, and he's like, dude, how the fuck else are we supposed to get in? And I joked when I was watching this. I joked, I was like, well, he's not technically breaking and entering. He's just entering. He didn't break anything. But anyways, so they find photos that George had developed of Victor's fucked up leg. So they both go to the meeting with a guy from the NRC and the police commissioner. These people are the worst fucking scumbags ever.
Yeah.
They're corrupt as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
The NRC guy, you later find out, is like the most corrupt. But like the police commissioner is corrupt in the sense that like he doesn't do anything but like back up this fucking asshole.
He's just like, I'll let whatever happen.
Yeah, he don't give a shit. So yes, you're right. This is when you cut to the Reverend shows them the photos, and except he's like, these are my photos, I guess, to lend credibility to it or something. I don't know. I don't really know why he claims they're his and not just saying like this. Maybe so they like couldn't question. It's like, well, where's this guy who took the photos or something? Anyways, so reporter from earlier approaches George. Yeah. So you cut to them in the park, George and Lauren, right? And then the guy that was the reporter from earlier that was talking to the cop and trying to find out stuff, approaches George and tells him that the cop was tailing him. And then between these two conversations, right, you gather that the NRC is like secretly hidden like toxic waste under New York in the underground.
Yeah.
Like apparently they're
He
supposed
said that
to be...
they had an order where they can't move it, but it was already there. So
Right.
it's like already just underground.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to... So in this movie, the toxic waste is actually pertinent to the plot and like the kind of the themes. Unlike Toxic Avenger, where it's literally just there to give an excuse for him to look fucked up. But in this one, like the toxic waste actually is important to the story. So the reporter guy kind of sucks. Like he's presumably
he's a dick too.
He's presumably trying to like
Just exploit
bring about the truth, but
so
like
he
yeah,
can get
he's
money.
Yeah, he's an asshole. He doesn't want to like actually help. He wants to be famous. So the NRC guy, the Reverend gets pissy and leaves, right? So the NRC guy calls somebody to have the Reverend followed. And then you find out that the NRC guy has a secret file titled C.H.U.D. And they're like, what the fuck is, like, the captain and the police commissioner are like, what the fuck is C.H.U.D? And he just kind of, he goes, cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
Well, he says he can't reveal it to him first because it's classified.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just happens to get a phone call at that exact moment. And they were like, oh, we killed the C.H.U.D.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, can't deny it now.
Coincidence.
So apparently 2 gas company guys found it dead. You see the guy that's following what's his face, the Reverend, kind of stop him from using a payphone to presumably call like reporters
and
or
he
something.
like eats his quarter.
Yeah,
It's
very
real weird.
I don't know. It kind of feels like it's pointing out an inherent fascistic nature to kind of bureaucracies like this. Like it's very much like it's the, you know, the federal bureau guy, like the federal organization guy that's like the main bad guy, and he's like doing like illegal things.
It's almost like they knew what things would be like currently.
Yeah, it's a very anti-corruption kind of movie. Like it's in the background, right? It's not really important for them, like it's you could probably watch this movie, and if you're not really, you know, if you don't really care, like you would totally miss it. But like if you look at some of like the little background things about it, you're like, no, this is very
still relevant today.
Yeah, unfortunately. Anyways, so you find out that the Chuds were human, right?
Chuds
who've like been mutated. And you kind of gather as the audience that is probably from this toxic waste that's in the sewer, but like these people I don't think are putting it together yet.
Real stupid.
So you find out the Chud used to be people that got all mutated, right? You see
army of toxic Avengers.
Yeah,
but
basically
evil.
So you see one of their fucked up looking faces in the reflection on one of the guy's radiation mask. You find out that it died from a gas leak. The commissioner is a fucking coward who refuses to do anything to contradict the NRC guy. And the captain's like trying to be like, you guys just need to send down cops with flamethrowers. And the NRC guy's like, nah.
And then the cop just does it anyway.
He sends it anyways.
And he's like, what are you fucking going to do about it?
I love this interaction so much. I kind of like wrote it down. So the NRC guy sends men into the sewer. And then they're like run into like other people down there, and they're like, huh? And then you find out that the captain sent cops with flamethrowers, right? And so the NRC guy says to one of the people down there, get those cops out of there. And then the captain says to the NRC guy, "What, are you kidding? Your guy has a camera. Mine has a flamethrower."
Which is a threat. But
the cop like full on points the flamethrower at one of the fucking guys with the camera.
And like the guy can't do anything about it because he's corrupt and he's doing stuff he's not supposed to. So
flamethrower.
he's just like fuck.
Right. And so the NRC guy's like, the NRC guy finally lets it happen. And there's like this tech guy in the background that tries to hand him a coffee, but the NRC guy is fucking like pissed off, so he like totally ignores him, and it's just like a funny little thing where he's like trying to hand him the coffee, and it's like, okay, never mind. So you see something start to set off the Geiger counters, and then the cops catch sight of something and light it up with flamethrowers, but you don't see it because you're seeing it from like the people watching it on the camera. And then like all of the cops get fucking murdered and torn to pieces. So the NRC guy continues to be a smug fucking dick. Wants to flood the sewers with gas, which this gets mentioned a couple of times, and every time it's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? But it's because like
they think gas killed the first C.H.U.D.
Yeah, right. They did some tests, and they're like, they think he suffocated because of no oxygen or something. So they're yeah. That's the general idea.
So let's just flood the sewers that we know people live in.
Right, in the fucking... That feeds back into the inherent, like, corruptness of kind of federal government stuff. And also, to a degree, city government stuff. But anyways. So, George gets home and notices his photos are missing, and he thinks it's the reporter guy that talked to him.
Which, to be fair, that's a good assumption.
That is a good assumption. The captain, it cuts to the captain accidentally or showing up at the, I think he shows up at the Reverend's place. I forget where he is, but he shows up and he scares the shit out of the Reverend.
Yeah, and he's telling them what they're about to do, and he's like,
right, he tells them about the monsters.
Do you need a place to stay where you'll be safe?
Yeah.
Good guy.
So the reporter tells George that the cops have his photos. George doesn't believe him. George and the reporter go underground, and it's about this time that the city cuts off the gas. And so like the Reverend stops, like he was trying to cook something and he can't because it like cuts off and there's no more, So they're planning on flooding the sewers if any more incidents happen where like, the C.H.U.Ds kill people. So the Reverend tries to get the crazy guy from earlier to come out from underground because it's not safe, right? So that guy goes to like run up the ladder, and then he falls and cracks his fucking skull and dies because apparently the NRC guy that was following the Reverend like shut the trap door and locks the Reverend down there.
Yeah, so I know.
So that guy's a murderer.
Yeah, I know they're about to flood it, but you get fucked.
I also don't think you ever see that guy again.
No,
he just,
I don't remember seeing him.
No comeuppance at all. So, George and the reporter in the sewers, they come across a C.H.U.D. The reporter gets fucking eaten, and George is like, fuck no, I'm getting the fuck out of here. The Reverend's making his way through the sewers to try and escape because he's got to find somewhere else to get out, right? And then I think someone's got a Geiger counter, right? Because they're measuring that the radiation keeps going up, like the further, the deeper they go.
The Reverend has it, right? Because he drops it when he's running away from the C.H.U.Ds.
Yeah. And then you can hear like the growling.
I'm not gonna get over that word.
And then he comes across like it kind of opens up from like one of the things into like a bigger area, and there's like 4 C.H.U.Ds ahead of him.
And this is the scene where I was like, man, this is like I'm watching fucking Goosebumps. This is the one that really nailed it in. I was like, this reminds, because they do look
right now that it starts getting like, oh, this is good.
They do kind of look like they would be in a Goosebumps episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? There's one specifically. I think it came from the basement or whatever. It's called something like that, or Don't Go Into the Basement.
Yeah, Don't Go Into the Basement.
And then also the episode Deep Trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a monster in the Shocker on Shock Street that kind of looks like the C.H.U.Ds.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Goosebumps.
I fucking love Goosebumps.
I watched it so much. We should do an episode of Goosebumps on here.
I mean, that's very...
That'd have to be like a couple episodes.
Yeah. Because they're basically... Well, we could do the ones that are like feature length, which I honestly think
Or
is
like,
most of them anyways.
No, they're usually like 20 minutes, but you can buy like I had a bunch of DVD because it was before streaming.
Oh yeah, I've got like
I had the DVDs and the
I had a
DVDs
shit
had
ton of
2
DVDs.
episodes each,
Yeah.
so we could just do like 2.
Yeah.
Or Are You Afraid of the Dark? Also good.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, so he sees 4 Chuds ahead of him. He's like trying to move, but he slips on some rocks and he like turns and runs away because they're like. Rah!
There's also 2-parter episodes.
Yeah.
So I'll move on.
It cuts to Lauren in the basement, right? Because she's looking around for something. I forget what. As she looks at the trap door that goes.
She
into the
drops
sewer.
like her photo album down there.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And I guess did she like? It seems as if she didn't know that door was there.
She
I
looked
could
at
be
it
wrong.
earlier when she first went, or I think no, George looked at it when he first went to the basement at the beginning.
It just seems like it's weird that she like if she didn't
Like the camera
know,
points it out.
It'd be
like,
weird if she didn't know that there is like a fucking secret
It's right
door
there,
to
it's
underground in her house.
Why is that there?
Yeah, I'm still
doesn't make
confused.
sense why
I'm
that's
confused why she just has like sewer access in their house. Or
Well, it's
apartment or
like an
whatever.
apartment building. It's
Yeah,
I
but
think
why
it's
is
'cause
there
they
stuff
have
in the
a-
basement of the apartment building?
they've got a studio apartment building. I think it's a bunch of like studio flats because theirs is a studio apartment building. Although you only see their flat and then you see like the door entranceway of the other people's flat and that's it.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna concern myself too much with
Yeah.
how accurate to real life it is.
Anyways.
It's whatever.
So the Reverend drops the Geiger counter as he's climbing a pipe to get away from the Chud. And the reading gets higher and higher as the Chud approaches because this movie is fucking baller at. I've never said that word before. I can't believe I just did now.
Ball is life.
This movie fucking rules at these little like tension building things, you know, throughout like the whole. It's fucking great. Lauren opens the trapdoor, starts climbing down. She finds her thing that she dropped, and then she looks up, and the dog from the beginning it's fucking hanging dead from the ceiling of this little sewer area.
I didn't like that particularly.
She didn't like it particularly either. She was not a fan.
I don't usually get like bothered by stuff like my mom always used to get upset because we would watch Fear Factor when they're doing gross shit and like eat and not have a problem. But for some reason, like I was eating when I was watching this, for some reason the dog bothered me. Like it's not because it looked realistic. It's just, I don't know, something about it was weird. I didn't like eating while I was watching it.
Yeah. So, around the same time that she's calling the cops about the dog, all right, the captain and the cops go to where you kind of intuit that somebody's like found something bad, and then it turns out when they walk over there and the audience sees, it turns out that the thing that was found was the captain's wife's head and neck from where she got fucking murdered.
And
It's just like washed up on
These
like
cops
the
were like,
bank
get him
the
out of there.
river."
That's his wife.
It's like, yeah, thanks for fucking pointing it out. So she's dead, unshockingly.
Yeah. Probably deserved it too.
Probably.
She had just started going back to school.
Did she?
Yeah, he says it in the bar.
Oh yeah, that's right. So she's starting to take a shower, and then something's like coming out of the basement trapdoor, and you're like, oh, it's one of the things. And then her drain gets clogged, and she like gets out like a clothes hanger to like try and unclog it, and she like like bends it straight and stuff.
And then blood
and then
sprays
blood
everywhere.
For seeming like there's no explanation of why this happened.
Like, what is she poking that's bloody?
Like, what clogged it? Like, did the monster stick a finger in there? Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good scene for a horror movie, but if you think about it, it doesn't
Not make
really
sense.
make sense.
Still a good scene though. So some cops go to a diner late at night. One is a very young John Goodman.
I fucking love John Goodman.
He fucking rules. He's good in everything. So you see a Chud coming out of the sewer. Chud breaks into the diner, and presumably everyone inside the diner is eaten because you hear like them all like screaming, and it's bad. Then the Chud that came out of the sewer at the apartments is trying to like break into the downstairs neighbor apartment, and the little kid. There's like this really tense scene where this little kid keeps almost opening the door because like he hears it, like you know.
Yeah,
so he thinks it's
I
somebody
thought
knocking.
again we were going to see child murder.
Yeah.
Glad we didn't. Don't like child
Pretty
murder
sure it's
in my
implied
movies,
that they do still get murdered. You just don't see it.
which is that's fine. Implied is fine. I just don't want to see it.
Right. Yeah. So the little kid almost opens the door. Let's see. Lauren somehow doesn't hear any of the loud fucking banging that the kid thinks is like somebody trying to knock and get in. Then the fucking thing like fucking breaks the door off its hinges almost right on top of the kid. Like the kid like just barely walks and then the door fucking So you get a thing where it's saying the NRC guy is getting ready to flood the city with gas. And this fucking genius is like, you know what we need to do? We need to take this whole section where all these incidents are happening and we're going to seal it off and we're going to flood it with gas. And what we're going to do is on top of the manhole covers, we're going to park trucks and vans and things that are rigged to explode over top of the unsealed entrances of an entire fucking neighborhood in New York that you're going to fill the sewers with gas underneath.
So the movie is good, but there's some plot points where
Trucks rigged to explode. This fucking moron. Anyways.
His name's probably Donald.
I don't remember. So George is still trying to escape the sewer, and he finds Victor, who's starting to turn into a chud, which you can tell because his teeth are, you know. Chud. Which at first I thought was because he got bit, but then I think the Lauren gets bit later, and nothing comes of it. So maybe he was turning just because he was down there.
He was exposed to the radiation.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think.
He's getting chudified.
So,
Chud Master. That's got to be my new gamer tag on Xbox. Right. Chud Master.
Chud Master. That fucking rules. So anyways, so George kills Chud Victor, and then Mrs. Monroe shows up and like knocks him the fuck out and takes Victor's gun because George killed her brother, and it's like that very clearly wasn't your brother anymore, lady. And then that's when the Reverend shows up. And he shoves Mrs. Monroe, and then she just fucking disappears and never comes up again. You don't see what happens to her. Like, she literally gets shoved out of frame and forgotten about.
And then still,
Did she die?
I still don't know her relation to the photographer.
Well, she's one of the ones that he took pictures of.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
So.
Sorry, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, we know. So, fucking dead, apparently. I don't know. You don't know.
Shoved her too hard. She had a Final Destination accident.
Right. And so you cut to the captain confronting the NRC guy about all of the deaths, and he's going to flood the sewers with gas. Lauren sees on the news about the diner that got fucking ripped apart, and so she runs out of the apartment when she hears about gas in the sewers because she knows that George is down there with the reporter. She doesn't know that the reporter's dead yet, or dead already, but, you know. But then she runs right back inside because she sees the Chud coming up the stairs. And when she tries to use the phone, she, like, accidentally rips the phone line out of the wall, which seems weird.
She doesn't know her own strength. She was too powerful. Just too powerful. She didn't know her own strength.
Speaking of strength, she starts putting heavy shit in front of the door to, like, block it to keep the thing out. Reverend and George narrowly miss getting out of several different manhole covers because they're parking the trucks on top of them. And then the cops show up at Lauren's apartment because she called them. I think. Oh yeah, she called them, but like she was in the middle of the phone call when she pulls it out of the cord. Pulled the cord out, I think. So the cops show up and then they get fucking eaten immediately. By
the Chuds.
And then the Reverend and George find a bunch of barrels of radioactive waste in the sewer as they're trying to get out, and it's about now that they start pumping gas in the sewers, and then George sees a bunch of the dead bodies from the cops earlier, and the Reverend's like, dude, you need to chill the fuck out, because he's freaking the fuck out. and like the fucking Reverend has to like punch him in the face and shit and get him to calm down.
I love that. I love that in movies. Calm down!
Bam!
Fucking smash him
The
up.
one thing that pisses everybody off.
That would make me not calmer. That would make me angrier.
Yeah. So they find the camera from one of the people from earlier, but the coffee guy is not paying attention to the video. So they have to pull the headset off a dead cop. And then finally the coffee guy pays attention and they have him call the captain. Lauren's screaming out the window for help because the trud's trying to bust open the door. So she turns off the light and it busts open and she tries to like... It like barely walks out and she's like over here on the wall and she like tries to jump for the door and it like immediately turns around because obviously it's like barely walked in and you're trying to get out already. You need to let it get further into your apartment first, moron.
To be fair, when you're scared for your life,
True.
you don't always have the best decision-making
That is fair.
abilities. But then she chops its fucking head off.
Oh yeah. So she like ends up hiding in George's dark room up on a shelf, which how the fuck does she get up on that? She like is up and in a shelf. Like fucking like
She's fucking in there.
she like so fast with like no noise that the camera ever gets to hear.
I feel like the C.H.U.D is mocking her because he's just like swinging his neck around.
Yeah.
He's like, ooh, look at this. Look at my neck.
Yeah. So
It's like he wanted it. He wanted to die.
Yeah, she threw acid in the C.H.U.D's face to slow it down, and she can't get out the door, so she grabs a sword, which I don't remember where the fuck she got the sword from.
I mean, I have a sword. You have a sword. People have swords. It's fine.
Okay, but I still don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, but it's
Granted, it's been 2 weeks since I watched
reasonable
it, so.
that there was a sword in their house because people have swords.
So she grabs a sword, and she's like watching the door waiting for it to come out, but it busts through the fucking wall. And then it like neck sticks out super far like a fucking turtle or something,
Yeah,
and
it's
she
like,
cuts
ugh,
its head off.
Look at my neck.
Yeah.
Don't cut my neck off.
Don't cut my neck off. So she cuts off the head, but the head is still alive long enough for it to fucking bite her in the fucking ankle, which ow. But like I said, that goes nowhere.
Honestly, immediately cut off your ankle. If some fucking toxic sewer monster bites me, I'm cutting off that limb.
Right.
I don't even
Gone.
need to see the doctor because by the time you get a fucking appointment, especially nowadays, you're already done.
So
maybe something happens in the there is a sequel that we haven't watched. Maybe she chuds up in the sequel.
maybe. But anyway, she goes outside and takes off in the cop car as the Reverend tells the captain and who the fuck is Wilson? Oh, Wilson is the name of the NRC guy. I was so confused.
Oh yeah, and then the captain looks for the key.
The Reverend tells the captain about the NRC guy dumping waste under the city. All right. And like you said, he grabs the megaphone because he's trying to get the key to move one of the trucks.
And then the NRC guy tries to stop him.
Yeah, the NRC guy tries to stop him.
Then they have a really weird physical altercation.
Yeah,
that was very
very
awkward
odd.
and strange, but
Yeah.
the cop gets away, and then he goes to the truck to let them out of the sewer.
Right. So you find out from their conversation, right? Because he's threatening to tell the press that he's like, I know what C.H.U.D actually stands for, because he said earlier that C.H.U.D stands for cannibalistic. I'm gonna kick the fuck out of your leg.
It's okay.
He says that C.H.U.D stands for cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller, but it actually stands for, you find out, it stands for contamination hazard urban disposal, which essentially is fancy government speak for we're gonna dump toxic waste under the city.
Yeah. There's also the unrelated. I forgot to mention this earlier. There's a website. There's like a horror blog that apparently used to be really popular in like the early 2000s, and it's called C.H.U.D. It stands for, I can't remember. It stands for something else, but there's
Something
another
not either of
relevant
those
use
two
of
things.
C.H.U.D. It was named after the movie, but it stands for something else. But
Yeah.
it's been inactive since like 2021 or 2022.
So yeah, the NRC guy threatens the cap with a gun. So the captain knocks the fuck out of him and grabs the
And
truck
a really
key.
weird, awkward exchange.
Yeah. So the Reverend and George get to the manhole cover, and Cap's running to move the truck. The NRC guy chases after, Lauren chases after the NRC guy because she's trying to find her husband and get him to stop the gas. So NRC guy shoots the captain before he can open the manhole cover, but then the Reverend and the George end up opening the manhole cover themselves because the captain's already moved the truck by this point. They end up opening it themselves, but the NRC guy is moving the truck and tries to run them over, so as they get out of the thing, they have to quickly get out of the way. Reverend is so pissed about the captain, about everything.
Understandably.
Understandably. So he gets the gun, or gets a gun, and shoots the NRC guy in the chest before he can fucking run him over with the thing.
I would fucking pulverize his balls with the gun.
And then the fucking truck blows up because it's rigged to explode. And fucking lucky it didn't get anywhere near the fucking sewer grates because they're fucking...
I just don't get what the point of the truck exploding on top of the sewer grates was supposed to be anyway.
In case the Chuds are able to get out, push past the weight of the truck or something.
It's stupid. Dumb plan by that stupid idiot.
Yeah, NRC guy's fucking dumb. So the truck fucking blows up. Turns out the captain's still alive. And then that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. End of the movie.
End of the movie. So there's a lot, but it's pretty straightforward.
Pretty good movie. Now that we have covered the meat, it's time to talk about public opinion.
Why do you say it like that?
That's...
All right. Rules, but what the fuck?
On IMDb, this movie has a 5.6 out of 10 with 14... I'm confused by the reviews because... It says 14,730, but then when I actually click on it, it says 141. So I don't know. But
that doesn't make sense.
That's not horrible. That's not horrible of a... All right. So as we'll look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, and then we'll read some 1 stars. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has... I can't remember which one is the critics and which one is the audience, because I don't care about the critics one.
The tomato is critics, the popcorn is audience.
Okay, it's got 5,000 ratings on audience, and it's 33%, so pretty low.
Fucking audience rated it lower than the fucking critics did.
That's unusual.
Weird.
All right, so we'll read this first 1-star review titled "Chudless." By Space Monkey 907 on April 13th, 2009. Lots of talk about people missing, pointless side characters, and story. Barely a chud in sight throughout the entire movie. The movie is bad, which is a shame because the concept idea is great. Missed opportunity.
What?
I don't really see the rare sightings of chud as a problem. In the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger's in the movie for 7 minutes.
Right.
The movie can be scary without showing the main bad, because there's a happy medium. You could show it too much or too little.
I thought it showed
it's fine.
Perfect amount.
You saw it enough to get the point.
You saw enough of them, right? And little tension building moments.
Yeah, I think this is just a person who they're impatient and they didn't want to have to wait for something to happen.
You're I want to see the big monster.
Yeah. This next review is called Pathetic Movie by The Big Calhouna on August 1st, 2000. No, Calhouna, there's an L.
There's an L?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
This is the most pathetic movie I have ever seen. This movie broke an obvious rule, all caps. Never try to make a B-grade horror movie serious. What were they thinking? What were they thinking has a period, not a question mark. The high point of Chud was a scene where Reverend goes to use the payphone. A guy walks up trying to look all cool and intimidating, clicks the receiver down, and eats the quarter. That's the scene that you think was cool? Of all of the scenes in the movie, that's the one you think is cool.
Those dogs are gonna get fucking murdered.
The dogs are annoying. Even though this scene makes no sense, it provided me with enough entertainment to give this movie 1 star.
Wait a second.
But I even give it that under a protest. What a fucking loser.
Fucking
pathetic movie, pathetic person.
This is one of the better ones that we've done so far.
Who thinks that the best scene is the fucking one where the guy eats a quarter?
What the fuck?
That is silly.
What is this bullshit?
That is silly. Well, that covers public opinion. Now, it is time to determine whether or not this movie is scary. And whether or not you should watch it.
What have we listed the other ones at?
Give me a second. Let me pull up the list. All right. At the least scary so far, we have Toxic Avenger with a 1. The second least scary, we have Eden with a 2. Demonic Toys has a 3.5 at number 3. And Creep is the scariest so far at 5.5. This movie was good, so I think it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
But it's not super scary, but at the same time, I
would put it
what's the word when you've seen too much of something so it doesn't affect you as much anymore?
Desensitized?
Yeah, that. I'm pretty desensitized to horror, so I think if I didn't watch a lot of horror movies and I watched this, it'd be pretty creepy, but I don't think quite as scary as Demonic Toys.
I would put it between Creep and Demonic Toys.
I was going to say between Eden and Demonic Toys, because I think it is scary, but I think Demonic Toys would have been scarier just because of the toys themselves.
Yeah, but this is a lot better movie.
It is a better movie, but we're not talking about if it's a good movie. We're talking about only is it scary. I'm going to give it... You know what? I think I'll tie it with Demonic Toys with a 3.5.
Let's go with that.
3.5.
We'll tie it. Because thinking about Demonic Toys, like, Demonic Toys really isn't that scary either.
It's just the toys that, like, I'm thinking about if I watched it as, like, a kid.
Some of those, like, up-close shots, yeah. Well, if I watched this as a kid, some of these, like, the fucking grandfather getting eaten was fucked.
Yeah, until the kid was, like, unfazed. Maybe that kid's the secret villain of the movie.
You wouldn't notice that as much if
that
you were
kid's
younger.
the secret villain of the movie. Secretly made all the chuds.
This is actually the NRC guy in disguise.
All right, so before we sign off, C.H.U.D has been binned. But if you read the description of the last episode, we didn't say it in the podcast, but we were going to bi-weekly instead of weekly. This next week, it may not be on Friday. I'll try to make it on Friday, but it might be on Saturday instead. For 1 week only, we're gonna go back to weekly because the new Final Destination movie is coming out, and we're gonna cover that movie. I know it's not low budget or B movie, but
we gotta have room for doing.
It's a significant movie.
Right, we gotta have room for doing fun stuff. You'll need to
unlock your iPhone first.
Shut the fuck up.
It's a significant movie, and I feel like we need to cover it because I feel like there's not a lot of big horror movies.
It's also been a long time since a Final Destination movie came out.
So we are going to cover this movie, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun, and I'm going to probably stay up way too late and be miserable the next day. But it's fine. And then after that, we're going to go back to bi-weekly, and most likely probably we'll do a couple Goosebumps episodes, or maybe a Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark? Try to switch it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Those are actually scarier. Like, I feel like they're all going to be higher than Toxic Avenger.
Everything should be higher than Toxic Avenger.
I'm sure we'll find one that'll rank below it eventually.
Below it?
Yeah.
Be less scary than Toxic Avenger?
Yeah, speaking of that, the new Toxic Avenger is also coming out this summer. That's going to be another one that we'll definitely cover when it comes out.
Although that one, based on the look of it, I don't know what the actual budget is, but based on the look of it, it still looks low budget.
Also now it's a lot easier to get better looking effects and stuff, even when you have a lower budget, because there's just more stuff and more resources available. But
that's true.
Either way, we're gonna cover it because that was our first episode, so we can't just ignore it.
And also,
we gotta cover it.
It looks not in a good way, but it looks like it fucking rules.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that it?
Yep.
Do we still not have a sign off?